Everybody is here in this room because they've made a commitment to leading, whatever that is, whether that's on your real estate teams and transaction volume, whether that's with building an organization. And we do 2 big events a year, right? We do the Do More Deals Summit, which was fire. Yes, clap it up for that. That was fire. The second event we do is this, which is a leadership retreat. This retreat is more intimate, it's private, and it's only for those that are committed to leveling up. We find ourselves halfway through the year, yes? There are people in this room who are gonna make more money, do more deals than they did this year in 2025 than they did in 2024. There are others that maybe are kind of doing what they were doing previously, or maybe even a little bit less. The question is why? How is that possible in the same environment? Well, business is really just about strategy and people. And in order to be growing in this environment, you must be the following. One is strategically superior. Money has an addictive quality, so because of it, we get addicted to the way that we receive it, yes? So what you were doing that worked a year ago, 18 months ago, is it working now? Can you go take a listing at any price and it sells?
No.
Do you have to get price reductions now regularly? Are offers coming in less than the asking price?
Yeah.
Yes. So what happens is we get addicted to the way that we earn money, yes? And as a result, we have a very hard time doing something different. The people that are operating and really growing in this environment, I don't care what it is, units, volume, revenue, they're growing agent count, they are strategically superior, okay? They're doing something different than what everybody else is doing, right? The second thing that these individuals are doing that are producing wildly favorable outcomes, even when everybody else is having a difficult time, is they are executing excellently. I'm wondering, in a previous marketplace, could you slack off a little bit and still make the money that you want?
Yes.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah.
Can you do that today? No. The moment you stop, resist, get comfortable, go on vacation for a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, you stop paying attention, you stop feeding the pipeline, what is happening? Yes. Hey, you notice the energy in the room when I said that? I don't wait that way. I wish I could just float around and live my best life. You can't do that anymore. You have to be executing excellently. Yeah? And the third thing is you have to have a wild amount of personal momentum. Wild. Because the headwinds are strong, yes? Right? We went from 6.5 million transactions to 4 million. That's persisted for 3 years in a row. That's a huge drop in volume. Jose, in your marketplace, in that, in that county, what's the percentage drop? 41% drop in sales since 3 years ago. And I think I could post a little stupid picture of a key and that's gonna help me. It's crazy, yes? But this is how we behave. In order to execute excellently, and in order to have superior strategy, I need to get an accurate assessment of reality, right? Not the way like I think it is, or the way I would like it to be, or what somebody else tells me, like the way it actually is, right? And everybody has an opinion in the marketplace. Has anybody noticed that? All the talking heads? Oh, it's gonna be amazing. How many people have been listening to the fact that interest rates were gonna come down like immediately for the last 3 years? Anybody? The gurus, bro, I wish I could if I wanted to be petty like that, I would show like this guru coach and be like, watch out guys, rates are coming down, yeah? Screaming from the rooftops. Did that happen? No, not at all. So I need an accurate assessment of reality because specific environments require specific strategies. If you're taking notes, write that down, right? So case in point, let's say we decide we wanna go to the beach. I live in a place where there's beautiful beaches, sunny South Florida. What would be the strategy we would deploy to ensure that we have a good time at the beach? What would we need to bring with us? Sunscreen, what else? Sunglasses, you wanna look cool, what else? No. Shorts, yep. Bikinis, yep, it's important. What else? Huh? Umbrella? Food, speaker, what? Okay, so we're all clear on the strategy, yes? Has anybody ever messed up a portion of that strategy, maybe like sunscreen, and you really regretted missing that, yes? Okay. Now let's say we radically change the environment. We decide, hey, let's all go skiing. And we completely go from the beach to a completely different environment, which is where it snows. Now, what's the strategy to ensure that we enjoy our time while we're skiing? First of all, is it the same strategy as the beach? No. How is it different? What are the different things we would need to bring with us to ensure we enjoy ourselves? A jacket? Sorry? Snow gear? Skis? The little warm things you put in your gloves? What else? If you're like me, like cushions so you fall down all the time, right? It's a completely different strategy. So my intention today, because I know the vast majority of everybody in this room, with one exception, derives the majority of their income from selling real estate or doing creative deals. Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. So we need a very clear strategy that we needed to be deploying now, the remainder of the year, and with a super high degree of probability, 2026. Make sense? Okay, good. Who's up for this? Say aye. Aye. Aha, the energy's there. Yeah, it was a test. Yeah, it's good. All right, so what's actually happening in the marketplace? Not what people say is happening, but what's actually happening. Now, these numbers are courtesy of Mr. Jose Luis Morales, because he has them, he studies them fastidiously, and he has an assistant that pulls all the data together. Because everybody has an opinion about the market, right? But the marketplace doesn't lie if you look at the data. Now, anecdotally, I'm curious, before I get into this, how many people are noticing it? Because we have people from coast to coast. We have California, Florida, like Boston, like Texas, everywhere, right? Collectively, generally, I know that there's some pockets that are unique. Collectively, are we noticing inventory going up? Yes? Are we noticing demand either staying the same or softening? Okay, so that's generally, we can all agree. And this shows up actually in the numbers. So here's what's happening. This is in Los Angeles County, right? And this is the amount of listings on the market. So look what happens in 2020. It plummets, yes? So when supply goes down and demand goes up because cost is very little, what happens to prices? They explode, which is what we've seen happen, right? Now look what's happening now in 2025. What's happening to the inventory? Shooting up, yeah? So if I'm not clear on this, what strategy would I be deploying that would actually create a problem in my business?
Pricing.
Huh?
Or prices.
Yeah. Anybody have like inventory swell and you have 10 listings and nothing selling? Why? This. Because I need to pivot quickly. Leaders don't panic, they pivot. I need to pivot strategically with what I'm doing, right? Now, what's happening on the sales side? Well, fascinating enough, look, it's going down. So inventory's rising and demand is softening or going down. Now, when that happens, I don't care who is in office. I don't care like what your grandpa's uncle's opinion who used to sell real estate. What happens to prices? That's what happens. Yes? So what would be some pivots and strategy that we need to start deploying?
Pricing aggressive.
I'm sorry?
Pricing aggressive.
And how's that different than what you had to do previously?
Just pick a number.
Yeah, pick a number, bro. We're good. Yeah? Anybody besides me, were you surprised when they actually got it?
Yeah.
You're like, there's no way. And then they get it. You had your hand raised, David?
Yes, pre-qualifying the prospect.
And why is that super important?
Because we don't want to waste.
Now let me ask you a question. Did you have to do that diligently, intentionally, and purposefully previously? Because it didn't matter. I need to make sure they're 9s and 10s, not even 8, 9s, 10s, but 9s and 10s. Because only then will they be willing to do what's necessary, which is what? That's right. Period, end of story. Yes? So this is kind of macro what's happening, okay? Now, what's working in this environment? Because there are people in this room that, again, are doing more deals and making more money in 2025 than they did in 2024, even though we're experiencing that environment with inventory rising and demand softening. So what we're seeing is the following working, is lead sources that have no referral fees or minimum expenses. What do I mean by that? Database. Hey, when things are flying high and everybody's doing deals, were you diligently and intentionally and purposefully paying attention to your database? No, you treat them like a redheaded stepchild. You gave them no attention, but you're like, can you give me a deal, please? Yes? You can't do that anymore, bro. You have to be intentional, purposeful, conscientious, 42-touch program, like making sure you're in front of them all the time, okay? The second thing that we see is working is niches, things that you can go into the market and snipe down. Now, what I mean by a niche is like the vast majority of like these gurus in the marketplace that, real estate coaches or gurus, they just recycle the 4 horsemen all the time. Now, that's not that this lead source is bad. They're just red oceans. Lots of sharks and lots of blood in the water. Now, it's fine. Everybody in this room is a great white. We can push into that space and get our unfair share, but I'd much rather swim in pools of data that are blue oceans, where there's way less sharks, way less blood in the water. Yes? And make data-driven decisions. Because if I have the ability to focus on a lead source that has a higher density of motivated sellers, if less things are selling, would that be a logical thing to do? Yes or yes?
Hello. Yes. Yep.
Well, here's the question. If that's true, what are you doing about it? Are you implementing that into your business? And if not, why not? Because it's clearly working, okay? The second are cash offer programs, right? To generate leads. Now, all of these huge platforms, Zillow, Redfin, they all have like cash offer programs. Why do they do that?
Because they work.
Because they work. In what way? What's the work?
They advertise and they're getting people like responding to that.
Yeah. Is your issue, if you want to do more deals, what's your main issue? A lack of leads. So wouldn't it make logical sense if there was a source that got people to raise their hand that that's what you should pay attention to? Yes? Yeah. It gets people to raise their hand, right? And then you can have conversations with them. We're seeing direct mailers work, right? PPL, which Jose's going to talk about later this afternoon, which is pay per lead. TV commercials, which Abel's doing, and that's working. But it's all generating leads that you're dumping into this database. Yeah, like this funnel. Now, why is this likely to persist moving forward? I don't know if any of you guys know this. This happened 2 months ago. I know there's a bombardment, like we get bombarded with information, so the news cycle is like wild and we forget stuff. But the US credit rating for the first time in 100 years was actually lowered. How many people knew that? I'm curious. Yeah, that's wild because we're all real estate professionals, huh? For the first time in 100 years. Now, let's think about that. If mine and you, me and you, we're going to get money and my credit rating goes down, what does that do to the percentage that I have to pay for the money? It goes up because I'm more what? Risky. So now we're perceived to be more risky to the world because our balance sheet's really bad. You know what our balance sheet is? Like most people in the United States. A tremendous amount of debt. Yeah? Now we also have credit card debt at the highest it's ever been. We have student loan debt at the highest that it's ever been, and we have car loan debt at the highest that it's ever been. So if I was to look at that and make a directional bet, again, independent of how you feel about it, independent of emotions, independent of what you want to be true, what would I bet with a high degree of probability is going to happen?
Interest rates will still stay the same or go higher.
Thank you. In the last 60 days, I've had 4 calls with agents, some with tears, some not, about having to go get a job. That's not hyperbole, like it's true.
I got a text message from a client and it talked about the amount of sales in comparison to like 2008, 2009, how it's like half of the amount of sales at that time. He's like, if your agent's killing it in this market, he's a gangster.